Welcome, dear listeners. I'm Jonathan Carlin.
And I am Ben Carlin.
And we invite you to join us through the Griffin door, your one-way ticket to the enchanting world of Harry Potter. So grab your wands, dust off your broomsticks, and join us as we unlock the secrets behind Philosopher's Stone, Chapter 3, The Letters from No One.
Oh, man. Okay, so things really starting to heat up here in the old Dursley's house at number 4 Privet Drive.
They absolutely are. I love the way like the chapters sort of like progress here, where it's like, all right, Harry's there as a baby. Here's Harry as just, this is the progress update, and now it's like the Wizarding World is coming for him.
Yes.
Like they're not there yet, but they're coming for him, and it's like, what's happening? This is fun.
I know, like the mystery is starting to build, and I'm both blown away and like I don't even know, like surprised a little bit, because I feel like the pacing compared to like reading this again, you know, kind of going back to that sort of like first ever read through as kids, you know, it felt as though so much time passed before you ever discovered that he was a wizard. Like it felt like you were really far in, and we're coming up on chapter 4, and it's like it's about to happen.
It's about to. I guess maybe even like, you know, we've talked about how like our dad would read this like once. Like we get like a chapter a week basically, and so I guess from that point of view, it would have been like a month if it's in chapter 4 when you finally find it out, like what's going on.
Yes, exactly.
You know, it might have been like a wait, what?
Right. So kid us, I would say up until this point, like maybe you're not like colossally hooked yet, because there hasn't been anything other than just like a lot of mistreatment of Harry going on. And so you haven't had any of like the fun whimsy of what the Wizarding World is.
Like you met Dumbledore. There was a flying motorcycle. Like he made the glass disappear. Like, was he talking to the snake? Even that, we didn't talk about that in the last one. It's like Harry talks to the snake, but like you know, even when you read that the first time, like as with the full scope of everything, he's clearly talking to the snake. But like in the moment, it's sort of like just like, was he sort of communicating with the snake? Did the snake really understand him? You know,
it's definitely not clear at this point in time whether or not that is unusual magic, or because I mean the same way like a lot of the other magic that Harry has performed up until this moment are spells that he doesn't learn for years to come. And you know, apparition is something specifically reserved for 17-year-old full-grown wizards, and you know Harry did it as a small child and found himself on top of a chimney, apparently.
Straight up apparating, man.
Yeah, and so anyway, so you know you're just starting to get like a feel for it, but I feel like the fact that you know the Letters from No One really starts to give you a sense of like just how quirky this world is in a lot of different ways.
What I like about this chapter is that the sheer passive aggressiveness from Dumbledore towards the Dursleys. Like the ways in which he's messing with them are hilarious, because they clearly have tons of magical ways to just get Harry the letter. Like there's letters that appear inside of eggshells at one point. And it's like, if you guys are magically concealing the letters inside of the eggshells and you know exactly where he sleeps, because clearly you do, why don't you just have the letters like appear on his pillow or something?
Yeah, no,
you know, like you don't have to go to all this trouble.
There is some absolute torment being directed directly at the Dursleys in particular, and you know it really kicks off almost immediately with Harry getting the letter, and of course it is specifically addressed to the cupboard under the stairs at number 4 Privet Drive, Little Whinging, Surrey. And you know I think this is kind of a funny one, because I growing up forever and ever and ever, and again it's just kind of like one of those little things where I guess like I just didn't realize you know what the address would look like or what Little Whinging was in reference to, but in my mind, for whatever reason, because it's delivered by owl, I always sort of like, even though it's spelled differently, in my mind, I always interpreted Little Whinging to be almost like there was a little bit of winging on this.
A little wingling.
Like the letter may have a little whinging to it because it's been carried by owl. So like I almost thought like let me explain the reason why the letter will arrive slightly like
It's got some whinging on it from the owls.
Yeah,
because they have wings.
I never knew that little whinging was a place.
Yeah, like can I have a bit of a whinge?
Yes,
here?
exactly.
Complain.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I will say so. I know we brought this up in the last episode, but I'm going to say it again because I just want to put a request out to any London listeners out there where Harry is punished from the previous chapter for releasing the snake or whatever, and making the glass disappear, which he can't explain. And it says by the time he was allowed out of his cupboard again, the summer holidays had started. Which again, like I looked it up, and apparently the summer holidays start in London in like mid-July, which does track for sort of the rest of the chapter because we sort of have like Dudley's gang show up for a few, like every day of the summer, and then the letters start showing up. And
Yes.
it's like there's enough time to account for about 2 weeks until Harry's birthday on July 31st. But Dudley's birthday is June 23rd. That's when they're at the zoo, which makes it sound like he was in his cupboard for a month. And it's so
too
upsetting.
long. It's
too long.
Yeah.
It's too long.
Yeah, although I will say there is a line here where I think that Harry refers to the cupboard. It's actually when Uncle Vernon is in there talking to him, and Uncle Vernon says, "No one, it was addressed to you by mistake." Speaking of the letter, of course. And Harry says, "It was not a mistake," said Harry angrily. "It had my cupboard on it."
Yeah.
And there is this like sort of interesting little thing that I love here, that like even though Harry's circumstance inside of the cupboard is like just abuse, like I feel like his ownership of the cupboard, it's sort of like the one thing he gets to have, and the fact that he refers to it as my cupboard is sort of like it's like he gets to own something,
Right.
And if
Yeah.
if all you're gonna give me is my cupboard, then it's my cupboard.
Then, like okay, like you're gonna make me stay in there. That is mine. Okay, right? Like we agree.
Yes, and then immediately after we get a moment that's just sort of like it's ridiculous that it took this long to get there. But Uncle Vernon says, "Yes, Harry, about this cupboard." And when he uses Harry's first name there, it is the first time that any of the Dursleys have referred to Harry by name.
Oh, is it really?
It is indeed.
That is interesting.
So that's like one of those things where it's like,
no, it's not. I think because Dudley says, "Dad, Harry's got something."
oh, okay, maybe you're right.
So
Maybe you're
there's
right. Okay,
Dudley
okay.
using it.
That is it's one of those instances though where it's like clearly Vernon is doing his best to try to like level with Harry a little bit here. I think more out of fear of the fact that clearly he believes someone to be like watching them.
Yeah.
And so I mean it's probably more self-preservation than it really is an act of kindness towards Harry.
Yeah, he's definitely trying to act kind, but like I love this. It's like even their version of acting kind. It's like he's not really giving him a new bedroom. He just wants to like throw off whoever's watching them, and then it's so annoying that like it says the Dursleys have 4 bedrooms, and it's like, so it's not just that they made Harry stay in the cupboard. It's not just that they made him do this and they had a guest room. It's that they have 2 completely empty rooms in the house. It's not just one extra room they're not letting him have. It's like, yeah, we have a guest room, so you can't have that one. It's like, well, what about that one? It's like, well, that's Dudley's second bedroom.
Yes.
Like, no.
I know. This is just yet again one of those
such
situations.
insult to injury.
Yeah, and I feel like it's further confirmed in this chapter. We talked about it in the last episode, but like I think that the question is like, do they spoil Dudley on any level, like as a way to just like add insult to injury to how little they are giving to Harry?
Absolutely, they do.
Yes, because I feel like even Uncle Vernon's version of attempting to be nice to Harry on the very next page, it's when the mail arrived, Uncle Vernon, who seemed to be trying to be nice to Harry, made Dudley go and get it. So it's like even in this instance where he's attempting to show kindness to Harry, he's using the exact same tact. Like he's making Dudley go get it. So it's like the way that he's like being nice to Harry is by like punishing Dudley.
Right.
You
yeah.
know,
It's just the reverse.
It's the reverse. It's like Vernon, go get the dang mail,
Just go
man.
get the mail, dude. Of course, he tries to do that the next morning himself. I will say there is like on this note where it's like they like go out of their way to make lives like Harry's life difficult. Where it's not just that we're neglecting you. It's like we're trying to make sure you have a bad time. Is when Aunt Petunia is like dyeing Dudley's old clothes gray, apparently because that's the school uniform for Stonewall High, where Harry is about to start going to school.
Yep.
And it's like, there's just like, on one, like, no, there's no way. Two, if it's a uniform, then it's a legitimate uniform that he would need to go get, not just you must wear gray clothing.
Right.
If it's a school uniform, it's school issued, so you'll still look like the rest of the kids.
Right.
Yeah. So that's just, it's like they're just like, we understand we're coming up on a situation where Dudley might not be able to oppress you at school, so we're going to make sure you look terrible. But I do love Harry's burn here, where he's like, he says like, it'll look like he's wearing bits of old elephant skin, probably. It's like, yes, that's how big Dudley is. And then also, Harry's just full of zingers in this one. This is one of my favorite lines of the whole chapter, is when Dudley's telling Harry that they stuff people's heads down the toilet on the first day at Stonewall, and Harry responds, or he says, want to come upstairs and practice? And Harry says, no thanks. The poor toilet's never had anything as horrible as your head down it. It might be sick. It's like, oh, zing!
Dang, way to go, Harry.
Oh, man.
It is nice to see
fun.
him stand up for himself just a little bit there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And the otherwise, like, as we start like moving forward, we know that more and more letters by the day start filing into number 4 Privet Drive, where it seems like they are just ramping up extraordinarily. I sort of love the lengths that Uncle Vernon is going to, because they also seem to scale pretty drastically as well. There's like the scene where Harry sets his alarm to get downstairs first so that he can get to the mail slot before anybody else, only to discover that Uncle Vernon has basically been one step ahead of him and slept in front of the door slot in a sleeping bag.
Yeah.
Which for whatever reason, the idea of Uncle Vernon sleeping in a sleeping bag is just like utterly impossible to me.
I know, like, there's how big is the sleeping bag?
It seems like I can't imagine him sacrificing his comfort to the level to where he would do this.
It's not only that I don't think he would sacrifice his comfort to do it. It's like, why would Uncle Vernon own a sleeping bag? Like, it suggests the Dursleys have been camping
ever,
and it's like, I really don't think so. There's no way you even own a sleeping bag, bro.
Yep, but maybe he went and bought one for the occasion.
I suppose that's possible. I could see him doing that. Let's see. There is... there's some other little notes here I have as we move on here. First of all, I just have to take issue with something here in the book.
Yeah.
When, as opposed to Harry's gray school uniform, Dudley gets a school uniform here as well, because he's going to whatever school he's going
Smeltings?
to. Smeltings.
Yeah.
Couple things. One, they said that it is stated in the book that the purpose of the smelting sticks is to hit each other when the teacher's not looking. Like, it's not like, oh, Dudley plans on doing this. It is stated as the purpose, and I'm like, why would this be a thing? Is this a thing somewhere? Are students just given sticks at any school for no reason? Like, I don't.
No, this to
never
me
heard
feels
of this.
like in chapter 1, like Uncle Vernon picked his most boring tie. This to me feels like one of those things where it's like, let's make no mistakes, okay? These kids are spoiled, and they're going to be doing exactly what they're not supposed to be doing with them, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That is exactly how they will be used.
They will be used.
Yeah.
In fact, they're encouraged to do so. It's
right.
It's part of being there.
This is one of those like narrator bias things, though, where I feel like it's like surely it can't be the case.
It can't be, right?
That in any way, shape, or form. It just feels like one of those things where it's like, if you give a bunch of 11-year-olds sticks, it's like, you better believe it's gonna amount to sword fighting.
I'm like, even if that's not the purpose, the idea that you're giving a bunch of 11-year-olds just like walking sticks as part of the school culture is like, that just seems like what's going to happen.
Right.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
Also, Dudley is meant to look ridiculous in his school uniform based on the color scheme, which is orange and maroon. And I just have to tell you, what a marvelous combination of colors. Though, like, it's put under ridicule here in the book, but like, frankly, these were my college colors.
I know. Yeah, I feel like this is one of those things where we have grown up, in Southeast Virginia, where we're just 40 minutes down the road from Virginia Tech, where the school colors are, in fact, maroon and orange.
Maroon and orange, and they're glorious.
Yes,
you know,
yes, indeed.
imagine you're looking at a fall landscape, and all the leaves have changed colors. These are the colors God chose to turn the leaves once a year. Okay, people. All right, this is a marvelous combination of colors, and that it is put under such like hilarious ridicule here on Smeltings. I think Smeltings just gets it in terms of school colors, not the sticks.
Well, yeah, I feel like the Potter saga in general tends to, because I mean, Ron will inevitably end up having the same issue where it seems like he's always being given
maroon.
like, it's like he's got like maroon jumpers alongside his like bright red hair, and it's always supposed to like clash so aggressively. So I feel like maybe this was just something from the very beginning that it was just going to be like, oh yeah, these colors don't go together. We all agree.
Yeah, but I disagree heartily.
There you go.
There's also this funny thing where I just looked this up, and having read the story so many times. There's when Harry first gets the mail, he comes back and there's a postcard from Aunt Marge, who is so present in these first 3 chapters. Apparently, Marge is ill, ate a funny welk. It's like 2 things. One, I love that Marge got to the point where she was ill, thought, you know what I need to do? Send Vernon a postcard to let him know. And because she has to have fallen ill and then done it. And there's not much room on a postcard. Apparently, that's all it says.
Yeah.
I'm ill, ate a funny whelk. Also, never known what a whelk was before. It's a carnivorous sea snail.
Yeah. I think that I also looked it up because I literally wrote a what? And then I was like, I should probably know what a whelk is so that I can explain it. But so I think that the idea behind the whelk is that because it is a mollusk that requires it's like a handheld kind of you need to use like a pin to sort of like scrape it free from the shell. I think that it is supposed to speak to like not something prim and proper.
Oh,
basically, I think is the idea.
Is it because usually if you're getting escargot somewhere, it's kind of a fancy place?
Well, and I think that there are versions of it, but I think escargot is not typically and I could be mistaken. I haven't had a lot of
whelks.
A lot of whelks.
Yeah.
However, I would assume that this is closer to like an oyster, maybe in nature. I mean, I guess it is.
Hey, you're the aquarium man. You tell me what a whelk is. Look, this is another. We need London viewers to tell us how frequently you're eating whelks.
Yeah, is like Whelk Fest.
Whelk Fest.
Yeah, I could see Whelk Fest.
It does seem like a thing now that you say it like that.
Yeah. But I always assumed, and just incorrectly, but I always assumed that a whelk was like a prune. I have no idea why. I thought, but like a dried fruit.
You know what? I always thought of it as like a fig, and I'm like, it's because they keep mentioning Mrs. Fig.
That's probably it.
And it's like another off-page character as of now. And I'm like, ate a funny whelk. Okay, fig, whelk, probably the same thing. They're not even close. Figs are amazing, and whelks sound terrible. I could be wrong. You know what? I would try a whelk. Also, the idea of just a carnivorous snail is just upsetting to me.
Yeah, back in my aquarium days, I do remember that there was a kind of invasive snail that could come in on some of your live plants that would breed like crazy. And so we would occasionally get in a batch of what we called assassin snails.
Oh.
And they were carnivorous snails that had that would eat your nuisance
You hired
snails.
hit snails.
Yeah, we hired hit snails. This is a real
My
thing.
goodness.
I know.
Dude, I'm learning so much about mollusks today.
When people signed up for a Harry Potter read-along podcast, I'm sure that they were expecting lots of snail-related commentary.
Look, this is what what no one. I like to think most people have no idea what a whelk is, and they're just learning right now, and they're like, wait a minute, what? Also, there's another little passage here that stuck out to me for the first time as I'm reading through it with the hard copy, and it's after Harry has been given the new room, which I love when they send him the new letter, they still call it the smallest room. Like, they're like, oh yeah, we see you upgraded there, but we're not under the radar, we understand what you did. You still chose the worst room.
Right. It's like you gave him better than broom cupboard.
Yeah.
However,
yeah, we see what's happening here, but that's not what he's examining what's in the room, and one of the items listed in the room is there was a large bird cage which had once held a parrot that Dudley had swapped at school for a real air rifle. Which just like I highlighted that whole passage. It was
Me
like,
too.
wait. What is happening here? Hold on. Let me back up exactly the entire logic what's happening here. First of all, Dudley owned a parrot at some point. Doesn't seem very Dursley-ish because they hate Hedwig, although that could just be on principle.
That could be, yep.
Also, am I to believe that as a parrot owner, Dudley was allowed to bring the parrot to school, not in the bird cage,
Right.
which is still at the house, and that when he was at school with his pet parrot, he managed to work out a trade with someone at school for a gun. Like, why are live parrots and guns allowed at the school for under 11-year-olds? Like, what is happening at this school?
I was baffled by the same thing, and I literally wrote down I highlighted the exact same passage and was like, what?
I know.
Yeah.
So, look, someone's going to say it was an air gun, not a real gun. And I'm like, I'm sorry. If someone brought like an airsoft gun to school, also not okay.
It says real air rifle.
You're right. It says
real
air rifle. That sounds like a BB gun.
It does. The other thing I'm going to say about this chapter on this note, because I also wrote this down, was just trivia, because this chapter is just like, you could have an entire trivia episode on like the Super Carlin Brothers channel that's just literally chapter 3 of the Sorcerer's Stone, because there are so many. I mean, you got the welk comment, you've got the air rifle comment. Like as you continue to go on, it's just like there's so many like weird moments where it's like, are you serious? Like at some point in time, Uncle Vernon is humming the song "Tiptoe Through the Tulips."
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what that is.
It's like I've read this book 50 plus times easily, and I could not have told you with 1,000 guesses that is the song he was humming.
Yeah. Tiptoe to the Tulips, couldn't have told you that either.
No.
There's so many times in this chapter too where I was like, Harry, you've never received mail in your life. Like, it says the cupboard under the stairs. Why didn't you open the letter in the hall? Like, dude, come on.
He laments that fact.
He does.
I mean,
he does lament it. It still feels like it was too obvious. After he gets to the room, he also it later says that the repaired alarm clock rang at 6 o'clock. This is part of his plan to get down there. I just love that Harry is like not just a regular wizard, but a tech wizard too. Just repairs an alarm clock. Like if my alarm clock broke, that's it for that alarm clock, but not for 11-year-old Harry, wizard,
who clearly busted out his soldering iron.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to fix this. I need to make sure
easy peasy repair.
I want to make sure I'm up early so I can experience as much of my life as possible with the Dursleys. Yeah. Anyway, that's that. Moving on.
Yep. So moving on. So we're having more and more letters arrive. There is a reference, and it's one of my favorite movie moments. But it's like when you see Uncle Vernon sitting there on Sunday, and he's just clearly so like whizzed, from this whole week. I mean, he just got like all of his hairs going every which direction. I mean, he's you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. He just feels like he's really lost at this point in time, and he's like, what's so great about Sunday? It's like no post on Sunday. Very good, Harry. Very good.
Yes, I love that. I also love there's a right here where she's where he is nailing up the mail slot, and Petunia's like, I'm not sure that'll work. And he's like, oh yeah. It's like, I love how Petunia's just like, yeah, we're going to have to do, it's like, I think she's already like accepted, like, there's no way we're stopping it. Like, I'm with you. We'll try, but like, that ain't going to do it.
Right. So do you have any thought in your mind at all? Because like one of the things that does surprise me the most, and at some point in time, I do think that, again, this sort of like idea surfaces, but it's like it's so surprising to me because clearly they have witnessed Harry undergo lots of like magical related things. I mean, case in point, the boa constrictor that he just was punished for an entire month for. Like the fact that he gets the letter, this is not the first time that there's been some suggestion of him being magical. Yeah. And so it's like, from my end of things, I'm like, why do the Dursleys not just be like, great, go to that
get
school?
Out of
like,
here.
They clearly don't like him, and it's like if he goes, then they're not going to have to like tend to him or look after him or anything. It's like he'll be gone for like 10 months of the year.
Yeah, because it seems like their summers are only like 8 weeks.
Yeah. So it's like, it's like in my mind, I'm like, why are you guys going to such extraordinary lengths and experiencing such un-Dursley-ish behavior to the tune of, the sleeping bag. I mean, even the eventual like hut in the middle of like,
there's a bunch of weird things that happen there where they're like, when they're at the hotel, they're eating like bad food. It's like a tin of old tomatoes, and it's like, why? You guys
there's
have
still
you could still
present.
You can still get better food. There's no reason for the food to get bad. And then like when they go to the island, it's like, I've got some rations, and it's like 4 bananas and 4 bags of chips, and it's like, why? Why do you get bad food? I don't understand. You have money.
Just insufficient food.
Yeah.
Really is what it comes down to. It's like that was surely, Vernon, you understand that was never going to be enough.
I know. How long are you planning on staying there? This is very not enough. I don't understand. And like clearly he makes a lot of money. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's sort of a weird one. I think there's one of the things I circled here was when the letters start arriving in funny ways. So he nails up the mail slot, and then the letters start arriving like pushed under the door, slotted through the sides, and like forced through the small window. And I'm like, just how are the owls doing that?
Yeah, this is where like I'm just sort of assuming that like magically, and this is like where you're wondering like who is involved, or is this just sort of like the byproduct of like anybody who tries to avoid such letters? Like, like would this always happen? Like, is the wizarding world always going to be like, no, like you need to get your letter. Like it's important that this happens.
It does seem like there's a certain amount of magic associated with like mail delivery and owls, where like even later on when Harry's trying to get Sirius letters, he can just send Hedwig and it's like, take this to Sirius. I don't know where he is, and like it works.
Yeah. It's like somehow, some way, like there's like a homing beacon built into the
there is something extra there. Even like when they like release the letters and they go through the mail slot, I'm like, do the owls have good aim, or are the owls just like, I'm here, and when I let go, the magic will take the letter where it's supposed to go?
Right. I could see that.
Yeah.
Because at some point in time, obviously they come bursting through the fireplace, and similarly, it's like, even if the owls were dropping them into the fireplace, they would just be landing like, in the grate.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like whooshing,
exploding out. Yeah.
Right. On that note, though, there's sort of an interesting topic we can touch on a little bit, because we do eventually learn, like you might ask the question, like, why is the Wizarding World so determined to make sure that young wizards are getting their letters? And we do learn, like, in the Fantastic Beasts saga, that of course Obscurus is the malady attached to basically like bottled up magical ability.
Yeah.
And on some level, I know that after we kind of like learned that, a lot of people kind of have the question, well, then how come Harry never really like established an Obscurus while he was living with the Dursleys, where like clearly his magic was being like, oppressed on some level, or otherwise just not very accepted. And
I think that's going to be the line. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I think that the big thing is that like it's like Harry, of course, and again, boa constrictor, chimney, his hair growing back. Like Harry's magical abilities are oozing out of him. He just doesn't know what they are. He has no idea like what's going on. So they're not really being repressed. Like Harry is still actively like exhibiting.
He doesn't even know what's happening.
Right, like his magic is still actively coming out of him. But I do feel like the fact that the Wizarding World may know that magic that does get like kind of tucked away deep within. Might cause this particular malady, might be a reason why it's like, no, we got to make sure these letters get there.
Yeah.
Like this is important.
Yes.
Safety precautions.
Yeah. The difference then would be like if you've seen Fantastic Beasts, like Credence is like an older character who is living in a place that hates magic, and he knows that he's magical, and he's like actively holding it in.
Yes, exactly.
Hence the Obscurus.
Exactly.
Yeah. Also, I just have to point it out. There is when we talked about the letters coming out of the fireplace and just like shooting all around the room, and it says the Dursleys duck, but Harry leapt in the air trying to catch one, which he doesn't. And it's like, yeah, okay, youngest seeker in a century can't catch one of 40 letters while everyone else is ducking out of the way.
Right. Yeah, can catch a speeding golden ball.
Yeah, mid-air.
But yes, large parchment letter.
Yeah.
Too much. No, I don't
Can't
have the exact
manage it.
same thought.
Okay.
Yep, that's okay though. Because either way, because it does allow for the saga to continue, which of course is the increasing lengths that Vernon is going to basically take his family further and further from home, so that they are not able to be found. One of those stops, of course, is the Railview Hotel in Cokeworth.
Yep.
Which again, I think is a fun little piece of just sort of like just a trivia question. You could be like, what town do they stay in? And it's Cokeworth.
Is that a real place? The Railview Hotel in Cokeworth? Did you look that up?
I don't think it's a real place because I think we will eventually learn through additional Wizarding World reading that Cokeworth is the town where Lily, Petunia, and Snape all grew up. It's where Spinner's End is.
Okay, gotcha.
So Lily is, Petunia rather, is actually in her hometown while they are there, which is kind of
that's funny.
Yep.
That's funny. Also, while we're on things that aren't real, later Dudley is complaining that he missed the great Humberto on TV that night. But I was looking it up. I was like, I bet that's like a funny like British kids show from the 90s. And it's like, it's not a real show at all. And it never was.
Just literally.
It's just the great Humberto.
I wrote that down as another trivia question you could ask. Yep.
That's funny. And then this is funny too. Dudley is saying it's Monday. And Harry is like, if it was Monday and you could usually count on Dudley to know the days of the week because of television, then tomorrow Tuesday was Harry's 11th birthday. I just underlined the word usually because in fact, then the tomorrow Tuesday in question is July 31st, 1991, which was actually a Wednesday. So you actually cannot count on Dudley to know the days of the week here.
Right. No, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
And I think this is, again, one of those situations where it just seems like the actual days of the week, like there was no basis or calendar that was being used when writing, where it was just sort of like, and I'm sure this is like one of those things too, where it's like, the book probably, you wouldn't have even had the expectation that the book would have gone under such levels of scrutiny eventually.
Right. Yeah.
Like, it's probably the type of thing that even the editor is like, it's like you don't even think like, oh, we should probably fix this to make sure it's accurate. It's like, nobody's going to care. It's like fast forward like 25 years and it's like, here we are.
This is the wrong day of the week.
Right. It totally takes me out of my reading experience.
I know. Like, come on, guys. How am I supposed to believe that Harry's birthday was the next day when the days of the week are wrong in the book? And
exactly.
So, to be fair, when you're reading this, it has not been established what year it is, but when they eventually establish what year it is, like in the real world, it doesn't line up. So, there you go. You have to bring it up. Oh, also, Uncle Vernon, while they're there, goes, and when he gets the rations, he also comes back with a long, thin package, which ends up being a gun. And I'm like, wow, did he bring a bird with him, or what did he trade for that?
As far as we know, the exchange rate for air rifles is one parrot.
Is one parrot. It's like, no, you stop and get a parrot along the way.
In addition, we also get a line here where we learned that normally on Harry's birthday, the Dursleys don't seem to forget it, but instead just give him junk, including a coat hanger and a pair of Uncle Vernon's old socks. This is just a fun little allusion because years later we'll know that eventually Harry will use this same pair of socks to muffle a sneakoscope in his trunk, and also that's in his third year, and then eventually in his fourth year he will give Dobby that same pair of socks as a Christmas gift.
Yeah, which Dobby loves.
Dobby absolutely loves. Yeah, pretty amazing.
So there is that. Socks do come into play. It's established early. Keep track of those socks, people.
Yeah, socks in general, this is like one of those things that like I've thought before, like what's the deal with the Wizarding World and socks in general? Because like, at some point in time, and not to be too spoilery too soon, but we know that like Dumbledore claims that like what he would see, in the Mirror of Erised is himself holding like a nice pair of woolen socks. And we know that socks are, of course, what Harry uses to eventually free Dobby. And it just seems like there's something about this like kind of cozy, like comfy, like I don't even know, like irregularly shaped. Like there's something like kind of quirky.
There's like
about
something funny about socks.
Yeah,
there is like something about socks is just sort of like inherently magical.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Like
they're present in the Wizarding world.
Right. Yeah, so maybe that's like one of those things like where after Tom Riddle is asking Slughorn eventually like, isn't 7 the most powerfully magical number?
Yeah.
And aren't socks the most powerfully magical
clothing? Yeah. Aren't socks the most powerfully magical garment?
I just like to think of Tom Riddle being like oddly like into socks. Like he's got like his whole like, too cool for school facade, but also I got some quirky socks.
And yet we know Voldemort when he comes back in Goblet of Fire is just like barefooting it around all over the place. Like do you think he ever wears shoes? Voldemort?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. You don't really see his feet after that.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Maybe he's like, at some point in time. It's like you can't think. These are the things about like Dark Lords where it's like at some point in time he had to like tie some shoes on, and it's like you can't ever think about Voldemort having to put shoes on.
I can't imagine him wearing shoes. Yeah, like him lacing them up over there.
But like,
you know?
imagine him like walking down Malfoy Manor like on gravel, and he's like,
I know. Well, this is why he can fly.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, just, like quietly levitating 3 inches above the ground, so he doesn't have
Right.
to walk on gravel.
It's like I also can't imagine Voldemort like eating either, though. You know.
No, yep, 100%.
He's like, at some point he had to sit down and have some food. Like, what do you think he likes? You know, what's he eating?
It seems probably
Like, you think he likes like
mollusks.
Italian subs or Wormdale, run to the deli. Get me a Reuben.
Get me a Reuben. I can't imagine it at
No,
all. I
doesn't
can't.
sound like it.
No.
He sounds like he would eat something more akin to like a bowl of live worms and eyeballs or
It
something.
does feel that
Yeah.
way. Yeah. More of like the Shrek appetite.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah. So as we as we get back to chapter 3 here, and not the Dark Lord, who has definitely not returned yet.
It was definitely not eating, not using the bathroom, or wearing shoes.
Right.
All
right,
things
right.
I can't imagine Voldemort using.
I didn't want to say it, but I was like, the other one is like, he surely has to take a bathroom.
He has to go to the
right?
bathroom.
Right. Yeah.
Does he think he showers?
Right.
You know?
It's like the robes are all in the way. It's
I
like,
know. he doesn't take them off.
what a fuss.
Even when he's reborn, like no, I guess he does say robe me. So there is that. I guess in the movies, the robes are just on him.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true. That's true.
no,
Anyway.
Anyway.
So as we press forward, though, I will say that again, speaking on Uncle Vernon's use of the sleeping bag, I'm also very impressed with the fact that he finds the shack or the hut, on the rock in the
Yeah.
middle of the ocean or whatever, and he rows a boat out to it
Manually rows there.
for apparently hours.
Hours.
It's like, I'm like, honestly, not for nothing, but like rowing a boat with that many people in it, like, I mean, that's not easy.
I mean, Dudley's a heavy kid,
I mean, yeah, and I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of like heavy wind and like possibly like some waves, overhead. And I mean, Uncle Vernon's just as cheery as can be. So part of me almost feels like he has missed out on his true calling to be, like doing expeditions or something like that.
Yeah, like he's got some. Maybe it takes so long because he's bad at it.
Oh, maybe that's true. Yeah, it's like he's just like spinning in circles. It's
Yeah.
like 30 feet from shore.
Come on, Dad.
I sort of don't mind that explanation.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I can see that. Anyway, but yeah, so we make our way to the hut, which sounds just honestly dreadful. And honestly, I would say that like the idea of being on like a cool little island in like a remote hut or something, like it's like I could see booking that Airbnb and being like excited to go and stay
yes,
there.
I know. I'm like, it's obviously like supposed to be this really remote, terrible location for Harry, but I'm like, I wouldn't mind spending some time at this island.
It seems
it
pretty
sounds
cool.
pretty
It's-
cool.
yeah, maybe not during a storm.
Maybe not during a storm, but like suppose I wake up and go fishing or something. That sounds
Right.
pretty nice.
Not so bad in the little rowboat.
Yeah,
that
I
you
got
can
my
probably row
boat.
better.
Yeah, hopefully I'm better at rowing than Vernon.
Right. Yep. But otherwise, I mean, yeah. So we're basically on the eve of Harry's birthday at this point in time. Harry, of course, even under the terrible circumstances where Dudley's sleeping on the moth-eaten sofa and Uncle Vernon and Aunt Petunia are sleeping on the lumpy bed, Harry is left to find the softest bit of floor.
Softest bit of floor. Wow, you know how soft floor is.
Oh yeah, it's like, oh, this is a good soft piece of
This is a good
soft piece of ground.
bit of floor.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's just like, it also makes it sound like it's not like wooden. It's just like a dirt floor.
Yeah. Which, I mean, again, going back to the film, we know that Harry's able to draw himself a little birthday cake.
That's true.
You
Yeah,
know,
so
and-
maybe it is just a dirt floor. Then he's watching Dudley's watch as it counts down to his birthday the next day, and as it strikes midnight, there's a large boom at the door. Which, what I love about this is that it's at midnight. So to me, it's like I like to think Hagrid had a bit of a dramatic, like a bit of drama he wanted to insert. He's like, hold on, I'm here, but no, it's only like 1 minute. Hold on, let me just count it down. And boom.
Yeah, I know. No, it's amazing. And again, we went back to our kind of fun fact that Hagrid had basically left him on the Dursleys' doorsteps exactly 9 3/4 years earlier. And it's like the fact that it literally comes down to the second.
Yeah.
We see Harry count down 3, 2, 1, boom.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, down to the moment. Even when originally Hagrid arrives, it's like right at midnight.
Yeah.
To leave him with the
It's
Dursleys.
like exactly 9 3/4 years
Yeah,
that
it's
Harry
just-
exits the wizarding world and gets reintroduced to it.
Reintroduced to it. So yeah,
It's
just
pretty perfect.
pretty amazing. And this again, I think this is kind of a cool one. We can kind of go back to Dad reading us the books as kids. But this is a great cliffhanger, chapter, because there you are, you're like, okay, finally, Harry's birthday, as a small small kid, you're like, I can appreciate birthdays. Like it'll be like that's good no matter what.
Yeah.
And here we are, and it's like boom, like what happened? Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Like
right.
we're
and you're
on
like
a track.
wondering who the letters have come from the whole time, and it's like someone's here.
Someone's here. Yep.
Someone with the letters.
And that's where Dad would turn the corner of the page down and be like, all right, boys,
all right.
till tomorrow night. And it's like, what?
No.
What was the boom?
Who is it?
I'm never going to be able to sleep now. I'll probably
know.
spend all night thinking about theories as to who it could be.
I know.
Who
I
have we
know.
met so far?
No, yeah, like, that would cross your mind. Like, yeah, oh, it's probably Hagrid.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
yeah.
it's someone we've already met.
It's probably Elvis.
Yeah, yeah, it's probably Elvis. Elvis Dumbledore.
Oh man, so
Exactly.
yeah. So anyway, I mean, I think good. It's a great chapter overall. I mean, it's kind of nice to after having watched the Dursleys just kind of be the worst for a couple of chapters for them to kind of get their comeuppance a little bit, where it's like, okay, clearly at this point in time, like whether or not we know to what extent these people are on Harry's side, it's like something's going on here. Like clearly. Something is the foot.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of nice to like see them sweat a little bit and for the momentum to start being like building. Like we're about to kind of get into like
We're getting some answers real soon.
we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not terribly far from more magic happening.
Yes,
which is
exactly.
what we're looking forward to.
Yeah, so we should talk about the chapter art, obviously. Haven't gotten to
course.
that yet.
Yep.
Yep.
So the chapter art for chapter 3, the letters from no one is of course the mantle, the fireplace, and just an absolute onslaught of letters.
Yes. I like how it's worth noting that on the mantle there's clearly a large picture of Dudley and no picture of Harry.
And none whatsoever. Yep.
Keeping up with the canon.
The number of letters coming out of the fireplace, though, once again, go back to your point about Harry being the youngest seeker in a century, and it's like. That's a lot of letters.
It's a lot of letters,
that's
man.
a lot of letters.
It
but
sure is.
Either way, I still feel like you can't help but call, I mean, and I know we've given high praise to all of them so far, but like each of these chapters are just so iconic. Like you're really building into the wizarding world in such a massive way. I would say I like chapter 3's art better than chapter 2's art.
Oh yeah,
for
sure.
The fireplace.
Although 2 in a row we have Dudley in the chapter art.
That's true. I know. We need to get away from that
I know.
ASAP.
Yeah, no doubt.
With chapter 4,
Yeah.
where we're of course going to be inching our way over again into that magical world with chapter 4, the Keeper of Keys, where we're going to get like a really awesome introduction to Hagrid more as a character, learn more about him.
Yes, Keeper of the Keys next week, chapter 4. Cannot wait for it. But before we sign off today, Ben, I have a review left
Oh my
for
gosh,
us
no
on
way!
Apple Podcasts.
A review. Oh man, that makes me so excited. Yes, if you are listening and you are enjoying the show so far, we would absolutely love it if you would leave us a review.
Absolutely, we're going to try and read a review in every episode. So if you leave us one, we'll be reading through all of them, and maybe you can get onto the pod. This one I think was left after episode 0, so it has no commentary on the first 3 episodes, but it is by Loverboy1234, and it says that Carlin Brothers equals HP experts. The Super Carlin Brothers are the literal scholars of our time for Harry Potter. So excited to go through the series with them. They have so many amazing theories and love their perspective on all things Harry Potter. Who better to make this podcast?
Oh man, that means so much to me. I feel like it's so sweet. I mean, it's this is like one of those things like where we've joked, and I feel like even as we've been putting the show together, I've been very hesitant to refer to ourselves as experts.
Oh, I know.
Because it's like it feels like we don't have a proper education in this field, but the actual reality of the situation is that I have now probably studied these books more than any other books that I've studied ever. Including my double major in college. It's like this is probably like where we could, I don't know, maybe someday aspire to teach a course.
Oh boy, that'd be crazy.
It'd be so much fun to like go through and kind of dig through. One of the biggest things that I would say, and I mentioned this thing in episode 0, but I feel like really the Harry Potter books were the thing that got me like interested in reading at all. It kind of like reframed this activity that I otherwise always so associated with like schoolwork. And as I got older and I was going through like, our as our like literature classes in high school and stuff like that, and they would have you read a lot of these like older stories. Like I think Animal Farm is one of the really famous ones that we read in ninth grade, and it's all about like I think like the Cold War and a lot of stuff that was going on with Russia, and I'm sure that if you lived through those circumstances, then like a lot of the connective tissue between each of the animals and who they're supposed to represent as like a real world counterpart like makes sense to you. But it was like, I don't know much about these people outside of the story. So like you telling me that so-and-so character is so-and-so in the real world.
I do remember having to read Animal Farm and it being like, okay, now in order to understand this, we're going to have like a whole week on Russian history. See, and then like, and see now, see how they were, see what they were doing. And it's like, yeah, but it's like this is English, so why are we having to do Russian history?
Right? Yeah, like I'm learning both the Russian history and about this new story called Animal Farm at the same time, and so the fact that they're connected doesn't blow my mind. It just sort of is like, okay, thank you for telling me that information. So I think what I loved about the Wizarding World and reading the Harry Potter books was that I feel like I was dissecting the story on my own. I was like finding all the like the little details and actually like understanding like an author's intent in a way that I had never really like cared to examine in the past. So anyway, so great review. Thank you so much. Again, if you would like to leave us a review in any of the spots, we will be sure to comb through them and try to include one in every episode. But otherwise, I think that next chapter that we've got coming our way is going to be chapter 4, The Keeper of Keys.
Yes, can't wait to jump into that one. Thank you, and we'll see you next time as we continue to venture through the Griffin door.